Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. I'm your host, Chanelle Allen, and welcome. Mac and Talk is an open forum Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just getting started and need some help learning VoiceOver, or you could even be trying to figure out whether the Mac is the right device for you. Or maybe you have been using a Mac for a while and you have questions about an app or feature, or you just got some really cool accessory or something else and would love to share about how that works great with the Mac. Whatever the case is, I am so glad that you have joined us this evening. This call is being recorded, and to have an exceptionally great experience, we ask that everyone stay muted at all times unless asking a question or making a comment. I'll go over our procedure for that in just a few minutes, but first I want to draw your attention to iBUG today and how you can keep ahead or keep in the know of what we're up to. We have a website, ibugtoday.org, where you can look at our upcoming events tab and see everything at a glance for the month. We have over like 20 something events, so we stay pretty busy. On our website, you can also register to receive our emails and listen to recordings of our previous training workshops. You'll also find links for YouTube, or you can just visit our YouTube channel directly, where you'll find all of our podcasts and the previous Mac course. We are on social media at Facebook, facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. It is an interactive discussion group for people to ask questions in between our events. We also have a group specifically for Mac users, and you can find info about that on our iBugToday.org website under the Mac and Talk link. All right, as far as events we have coming up this week, we will have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies on Friday, beginning at 7:30 with the pre-movie social, followed by the movie at 8, which is A Star is Born, and a discussion afterwards. And I hope everyone has an awesome Thanksgiving weekend. We're light on events for this week. We do have our book club coming up on December 9th. We're reading The Lions of Fifth Avenue by Fiona Davis. And of course, we have our usual iBug Buzz occurring every Monday from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central. It's a great place to ask iOS questions. It's run in a similar manner to this call. And we have our mini buzz on Clubhouse on Tuesdays from 5 to 6. The iBug or Mac Buzz takes place on Clubhouse on the first and third Wednesdays. So that's another opportunity for you to ask Mac questions. All right, I may be missing a few things, but we want to get directly to our programming. So I'll have us begin with introductions. Just in general, if you want to make a comment or ask a question, you will unmute, say your name, and try to find a break in the conversation to do that. Then wait for me to acknowledge you. Once I've done that, go ahead and make your comment or ask your question. And when it has been addressed, please go back on mute. You can unmute in several ways. We do not use the raised hand feature, but you can use Command Shift A on your Mac, Alt A on your PC. On your phone, your iPhone, it's in the lower left-hand corner. In the iPad, it's somewhere in the top middle. And for anyone on a telephone, *6. So now let's just go around and say your name, where you're calling from, and if this is your first time joining us on Mac and Talk, let us know that. And I'll begin. I'm Chanelle in Houston.
Currently unmuted.
I'm Donna from North Carolina.
Welcome.
Hi, it's Judy in Connecticut.
Judy, welcome.
Thanks.
My name is Tony. It's my first time, and I'm from Michigan.
Great. And how did you hear about us, Tony?
I'm on your email list, and I was interested in why you should get a Mac computer. Like I said, I have an iPad and an iPhone, but I'd like to know in detail what are the advantages of getting a Mac? Thank you.
All right. So when we're done with our introductions, then you can reintroduce that question, and I'm sure we'll have lots of eager answers. Thank you for
Susan from
being here.
Houston.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
Marvin from Chicago.
Welcome.
This is Dan from Southern California.
Hi, Dan. Welcome.
This is Brad, and I'm in Dallas.
Hi, Brad.
Cliff in Minnesota,
Welcome, Cliff.
although I am originally from Chi-Town.
Tree from Virginia.
Welcome.
This is Kay from San Antonio, Texas.
Welcome.
Michael in Texas.
Welcome.
This is Melanie from the San Antonio, Texas area.
Welcome, Melanie. Are you a first-time caller?
No, I was here once before, but it's been probably several months ago.
Okay. Well,
Probably a year or more ago, actually.
oh, well, I'm glad you decided to check us out again. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. So I think that is it. So anyway, or there's a couple people here. You can introduce yourselves now or later. But I just want to get to Tony's question. Why a Mac if you already have an iPhone? Who would like to answer that or go into their reasons?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
All I can say is they're really completely different. iOS device is nice. It's a handheld, very portable device, but a Mac is a computer. It's iPhone's a computer, but it's more like a desktop computer. Though you might have a MacBook Pro or Air, which are portable, or you might have a iMac or Mac Mini, or which are, not portable desktop computers. But the use cases are different. I mean, it's not a short answer, but that is the shortest way to answer the question. Is they're just different. The operating system is different. I find an iOS device to me is more of a consumption device than a device I use to create a lot of content, but that doesn't mean you can't. There are people out there who use and particularly an iPad perhaps as their primary device. But the iPhone to me is more of your carry it with you all the time, consume content device.
Great. Yes, I would agree with that. My iPhone is my consumption device. My computer is my be productive device. And sometimes they can each do a bit of both, but I would definitely agree with that. Anyone else want to contribute anything to this question?
This is Judy from
Yes,
Connecticut.
Judy. Uh-huh.
Okay. Hi. Well, one of the things that I really want to do, which I haven't done yet, but I play music with friends and I record it on my iPhone. And what I want to be able to do is to put that music, those playlists, onto my playlists in my music. And you can only do that with the Mac. So that's one of the things I want to do is to have it all in my library. And I didn't know how to do it with a PC, and there's so much support for the Mac. So that's one of the big reasons that I wanted the Mac was to work with my music better. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. All right. Does that help you, Tony? Kind of give you an idea?
Yeah, this is yeah. I just, I don't know anything. Of course, I'm going to take Cliff. If you're there, I'm going to sign up for your class, but I don't have one yet. I'm just doing some research. So
Okay.
it helps. It helps. Like I said, I have a PC, but I don't, I want to not use that anymore. I do have hard drives and things I want to connect with the Mac and that type of thing. So get Dropbox and do other things. And I think that'll help me, right?
This is Sri.
Definitely. Yes, Sri.
So my question to you is, right now on your Windows computer, what do you use it for?
Well, I've got to admit, okay, I have an iPad. My Windows 7, I mainly use it for Dropbox. I've got, music, hard drives, things like that. I do want to get Apple Music, but mainly right now it's just to stay connected to groups, putting books on hard drives and things like that. That's kind of what I want, but I want to use it for an all-purpose computer.
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri. Go ahead.
So I would say, this is coming a little biased, but I would say you definitely should have no issues with the Mac. I would suggest, since you've already got the iPhone and the iPad, this is all going to be part of the, they call it the Apple Vineyard. They all just kind of intertwine and seems to work, and the magic of whatever Apple does in their back end. So from that perspective, I think you're going to enjoy it, because everything kind of, what's on your phone, what's on your iPad will be what's on your Mac. And you also will find a lot of utility tools that will probably make it easy to do the things that you're trying to do, especially like Dropbox and your music and things that you're doing probably on your iPad. You'd definitely be able to do it on your Mac also.
Right. Thank you. One thing, is there a book out? I'm a Braille user. Does the National Braille Press have a more up-to-date getting started with the Mac computer?
They do. Getting started with the Mac. I can't remember the exact title, but it is available and it does cover. Okay, we're hearing somebody's screen.
Oh, mine. I'm
Speech.
sorry. That's mine. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll shut
I
her off.
don't have the exact title, but if you just go to their website and
Okay,
look at
thank you.
textbooks, and
Mhm.
you should find it.
Okay, thank you.
This is
It's-
Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
The San Francisco Lighthouse for the Blind also has one for Big Sur.
Oh,
I
okay.
just got it. It's a bit more costly, but it's very, very thorough. It's more of a reference book, but it takes just about every part of the Mac and has the categories and the things that especially the keystrokes and stuff that you can use with it.
Okay, so I'll have to get an address. What is Big Sur? What is that?
So Big Sur is the operating system on the Mac. Right now, the latest is, oh my goodness, the name I am not thinking of Monterey. But Big Sur was the one that was before that. Just like in Windows, you have 10 and 8 and 7. These are all names of. So Big Sur was the previous Mac OS.
Oh, I see. Okay, right. It's like Windows. Okay, what was the? And then I'll get out of here for someone else. But what was the name of the place to order that book out of San Francisco?
She said, "Oh yeah, Brad, go ahead."
Well, she mentioned the San Francisco Lighthouse. I know they have a website.
It's the Lighthouse for the Blind in San Francisco. I don't know their address off the top of my head, but I think it might be called Adaptations something.
All right.
Okay.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, you should be able to Google San Francisco Lighthouse for the Blind. I want to say, and I hope I'm more right than I am wrong, sflighthouse.org may be the website. But like I said, if you Google it, you'll find it.
And if you call
Thank you.
them, if
Okay.
you call them, they'll help you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just a friendly reminder to everyone, we like to say our name first.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I know we're all in this discussion, but no, you're good. just a friendly reminder for future questions. So hopefully that helps you out, Tony, and keep coming back if you have more
Yes, it did.
questions.
Okay,
All
I'm gonna
right.
listen for a while. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, who would like to ask our next question?
Susan?
Yes, Susan.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very similar question that I asked earlier in Clubhouse, but I'm going to turn it around concerning it on the Mac about mail. First, does the Mac have inboxes? You know, like where it says VIP, drafts, and archives, all that kind of stuff. And is it accounts somewhere in there, like on the iOS, you know, like all Yahoo, and go into accounts and see your accounts on there and stuff like that. Is all that stuff on the Mac?
Currently muted. Does anyone
This is
want to
Shree.
answer? Yeah, Shree, go ahead.
Yeah, so Susan, it's gonna, I mean, to basically answer your question, yes, it's gonna behave the same way. The configuration of your email account is gonna be a little bit different, but basically once you get in, it's gonna behave the same way. And it's just gonna be like your one mailbox, just like what you have on your phone and your iPad. It'll just be like that on the Mac. So from a user perspective, you're not gonna see any difference.
All right, well, except I did what someone mentioned earlier. I went on my iPhone and went to mail and accounts, and I did put it on what I wanted. So I was just wanting to know if I could do the same thing on the Mac, or if I needed to, and also if there's inboxes, like I said, that has like drafts, sent, VIP, archives, all that kind of stuff too.
This is Shree.
Yes, Shree.
Yep, it'll just be just like what you see on your iPad and your Mac on your iPhone, except you know the interface is going to be a little different, but you're going to see all the same stuff that you just mentioned.
All right, Susan, how do you go into inboxes, for an example?
In a nutshell, you basically launch the mail app, and if you only have one mailbox, once you set it up, it'll just automatically take you there.
Yeah, but but to get into inboxes, like I said, it has sent, draft, archives, and all that other stuff.
This is Shree.
Yes, Shree.
So basically what you'll do, Susan, is you'll get a table to interact. If you're familiar with the Mac and interacting, you interact, and in that it will give you all those options, your inbox, your sent box, your junk box, and so forth.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Shree. Appreciate it.
All right. Great. Who would like to ask our next question?
It's Brad. I have
Yeah,
a
Brad.
question, actually.
All right.
Since we're on the subject of the mail, is there a way in settings of the mail app to reset your favorites folder? The reason I ask this is for reasons I cannot explain. I have a couple of items in my favorites area. Something weird happened to them. I have for example, I say by something weird, they're sort of not there, but they're sort of there because when you navigate to them, they're dimmed. I had a smart mailbox that I created called a unread. And basically it just, because I have certain rules that send mails to this folder or that folder for whatever reason, but I can go to my unread and it will show me all my unread items, regardless of where my rules had them sent. My unread smart folder somehow disappeared. Not sure how. I have an idea what might have happened, but anyway, on my desktop Mac Mini, the unread smart folder disappeared, but when I go up to the favorites area, the item is there, but it says dimmed. So it's not really there. So I went to smart mailboxes. I created a new one, and now and then I was able to, put the new one in the favorites area. And I thought it might just land on top of the one that was there. But now I got two of them. I got the one that's actually working. And then there's another item in the favorites that just says unread dimmed. Then in trying to delete that dimmed item, which was below, I had two mailboxes, two mail accounts. So I had an all mail folder. I didn't realize it, even though I had thought I'd moved my voiceover focus to the dimmed unread item. The real focus was still on that all mail folder. And so when I attempted to delete it, and I guess I didn't properly read the dialogue that popped up that said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I deleted my all mail folder. Now I'm able to move, all inboxes, excuse me. I'm able to move, I got two individual inboxes now that I was able to put back up there, but I don't have the all inboxes. So I've been looking around. Is there a way to just hit a button that just, wipes out resets it back to factory, defaults and start over?
All right, resetting the favorites back to factory defaults. Does anyone have an answer for Brad?
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
There's a way to do it, but unfortunately, you would have to wipe out all your mail accounts and start from scratch on all your accounts. And I'd have to dig out those instructions. The simple way I would suggest you do it is just interact with your favorites table. And you're on Monterey, right?
Correct.
Then VO Shift M and hit R for remove from favorites. Do that for all the favorites and then just re-add them back with VO Shift M and go to the folder you want. Well, go to your folder first, VO Shift M and hit A or VO down to add the favorites and then reorder them with the drag and drop method or the mouse down, mouse up way that we have discussed in the past.
Yeah.
This is Brad. Yeah, I can do that. That's not a problem. I had wondered if I needed to just wipe all the mail accounts and then one by one re-enable them, and then that would put it all back. Because when the thing was brand new, it had no mail accounts active. So, which I can do that too. It's just.
This is Cliff. I think if you did that though, it's gonna leave those, because what I've done in the past, when I've done that, is when I went to the favorites, the mail accounts were gone, but the name of my favorites were still there. And like you just said, they were dimmed. So I ended up having to remove them anyway. So.
This is Brad.
Yep.
I don't seem to be able to do anything with the dimmed items because after I realized what I had done and messed up the all inboxes, I tried again. And like I said, I recreated my unread item and unread mailbox, smart mailbox, excuse me. Anyway, it's still there. So that's what I'll try. I'll go and manually remove everything. And then, but some of those were there just by default, like sent items, draft items, those were just there. So, and I even took one of my mailboxes, one of my mail accounts, and I went to internet accounts and deleted that account. Well, that inbox is still sitting there in the favorites as a, dimmed item. So that didn't fix it. So.
Interesting.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was just trying to look.
This is Shrey.
Yes, Shrey, go ahead.
So I just had a question about this. So if we only had one mail and we ran into the same issue that Brad just ran into, if we remove that mail account completely, we're saying the favorites will still be there?
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff, go ahead.
That's been my experience. Yes, when you remove the account, the name of the favorites will still be in the favorites bar, but they'll all be dimmed as if they're there, but they're not accessible per se.
This is Shrey.
Yes, Shrey.
So So if we recreate the mail account, will it undim itself because it recognizes that that name belonged to this, or is it has no clue because we reinstall the mail account?
This is Cliff.
Yes.
It'll have no clue. So yeah, you'll have to remove them manually, like I told Brad. So, that's one thing I miss about my Sennheiser, a physical mute button. That's the only drawback.
All right. Well, yeah, I was just trying to look around here too, but ugh, that sounds like a pain in the neck, removing everything manually. And if we come up with a simpler way, Brad, we will definitely let you know.
Okay, well, thank you. This is Brad. Just as a warning, I'll tell you what I did, and I think this is what caused it. I had a new Mac, and I had about a week ago, and I'm on it right now. And I had yet to set up the mail on it, and I needed to do something, and there was a information in an email item on my Mac Mini, and I said, "Oh, I'll do what I've done a million times before. I'm going to use the handoff feature." So I had the mail open on my Mac Mini, and I went over to the new MacBook Pro, and I did Command Tab, and there it is, handoff from Brad's Mac Mini. And I took it, and yeah, it opened the mail app, but it wasn't set up. So I got just a blank mail app, it's showing the inbox with nothing there. And all I can think is that's the only strange thing that happened, because later on when I looked at the mail on the Mac Mini, that's when I saw the funny thing with the dimmed out unread items, unread smart mailbox in the favorites. And I can't help but think that had something to do with what I did.
Oh, weird.
I kept hoping it'd fix itself through the magic of Keychain, through the way they communicates that information up there in iCloud, but it hadn't done it yet. So we'll see.
All right. Well, bummer. Who would like what?
Your default speaker has changed to built.
Oh, my headphones are being difficult. Okay. Did somebody say something?
This is Judy.
Yeah, Judy.
Is it okay to do a different question, or were we
Yes.
still sticking? Okay. So this is really huge. I would like to know, I know I've asked you guys this before, and I thought that I had, written down the answers somewhere, but I didn't. But so I've got this recording now. It's about a half hour long. It's an MP3. And so I want to put it in the Mac on a playlist. So number one, could I just make the playlist on my iPhone? Because I know how to do that easier. But then I would like the directions how to exactly get this playlist into the Mac. And then, well, not the playlist, but the audio, the 30-minute long audio. And I know it had something to do with a music app and going in there and a choice. I forgot what it was. Music media. Could you guys give me the exact directions, what I should do? Best way?
Okay. Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
You have a single file and you want to get it into the music app on your Mac?
Yep. And I want to start, I want to have a playlist where I start putting all these single files. Yep.
Okay. Well, you'll have to talk to somebody else about playlist, but to get a single file into the music app on your Mac, there is a folder called Automatically Add to Music, and you will find it off the top of my head. See, I could do this a million times. I see it. You go to your home folder and then go to music. This is where I can't do it from memory. But you should find it in there under music. And there is a folder called Automatically Add to Music. In the iTunes days, it was called Automatically Add to iTunes, but it's the same thing. And I've actually put a shortcut to it, an alias in Mac speak to it on my desktop so I can quickly open it. And anything you put in that folder will be automatically imported into your music library in the music app the next time you open the music app.
Okay. That's so what I'm wondering, Brad, then could I, all right, take this file, put it in files on my iPhone, and then my Mac would see it in the iCloud drive, and then I could, is that how I would get it to start doing the process that you just said?
This is Brad. So you've got the file on your iPhone, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you put it in the iCloud, go to the Files app, put it in iCloud, then you'll be
Drive.
able to go to the iCloud drive on your Mac. That's where
Yep.
and you'll open it in Finder,
Yeah.
and that's where you'll be able to get at it. Then I would do Command T, which will open another a tab in your Finder window. And I've got mine set so when I open a new window or tab, it goes directly to my home folder. You may not have yours set that way, but if it isn't, you can do Command Shift H. That'll take you to your home folder. Then you should
Okay.
find music in there. And this is where I get a little lost off the top of my head. I think there's another music folder inside the music folder. But if you hunt around in there, you will find the automatically add to music, and put a copy of that. I wouldn't put the only one you got in there. I would put a copy
Okay.
of it in there, because as soon as music opens, whatever's in that folder gets imported to music and it's not in there anymore. So put a copy in there, not your
A
only one.
copy.
And
Okay.
it'll be in there. Then once it's in your music app, you will add it to or create a playlist or add to a playlist just like you create any playlist. And I'm not a playlist
Right.
guy, so
And
I'm
I
not
could
real
do that
good at
on,
playlists.
yeah, and I could do that on the iPhone just because that's easier for me. I know how to do that. But then the music would be there and I'd be able to do that, right?
Should
I think so.
be.
This is
Yeah.
Cliff.
Yes,
Hi,
Cliff.
Hey, Judy.
Hey.
It's Brad gave you half the directions. I'm gonna give you the rest of them. So you do
Okay.
you go to the home folder, like you said, you find your music folder, and in that music folder, there's going to be a media folder. And in that media folder, there's gonna be, and they call it now, Brad, automatically add to music folder. So when you open
Correct.
that up, drop the copy there, and then it should go into your library, and you know the rest.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is
Cool.
Brad. Yeah, Cliff had the media folder part. I knew once you got in the music folder, it's something, and I couldn't remember what it is. And
Yeah.
I think in the earlier days, I think they called it something else. But yes, media folder. So yeah,
This is
thank you,
Cool.
Cliff.
Yes.
To be fair, I wouldn't have looked it up while you were talking.
there you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Isn't it great that we have each one of us to give a different part of the picture and we'll eventually get a whole?
It is wonderful. It is the best thing in this world. Thank you
Yes.
guys, everybody, Brad and Cliff and Chanelle. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right. That's a great great thing to know about. Automatically add to music. And with that, who would like to ask our next question?
This is
This
Sri.
is,
Okay, Shri.
So I have a external hard drive connected to my Mac running Time Machine. What's the easiest way to eject it when I'm taking the MacBook out? Does that question make
All
sense?
right. Yes, I think it does. Who would like to? You're just trying to eject the drive before you physically remove it from the Mac.
That's correct.
This
This is
is
Cliff.
Brad.
All right, Brad, go ahead.
Well, let's go say you're currently using it as your Time Machine backup drive.
This is Sri. Yes.
I think I would go into my Time Machine preferences first and turn off automatic backup so that it's not going to be trying to look for that drive on its own. And then I think if you just do go to your computer or, I don't know, do you have the drive on your desktop? If it's not on your desktop, Command Shift C will take you to computer. You should find it, highlight it, and do Command E, and that'll eject it.
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri?
So there's no way to eject it without actually selecting the device. It's not. It doesn't. You have to go find the device to eject it, right?
Brad, yeah, you got to
Yeah.
have focus on it in order to eject it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Sri.
Yes, Sri?
So the first thing you said, Brad, you said stop the time machine backup.
This is Brad. If you've got this thing set as your time machine backup and you just eject it and you make it so that the drive is not available, time machine is going to automatically at some point try to do a time machine backup. And when it can't find the drive, it's going to start sending you notifications. Hey, time machine can't find this drive. Where is it? And it's going to start putting those little notifications that will continually pop up in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, banner or whatever kind of notification you got set. And you got to constantly be dismissing them. And I've seen that happen before. My father had that happen on his MacBook Pro one time, and he was backing up to a time capsule, and the time capsule wasn't there. Somebody disconnected it, and they set his Wi-Fi up to just run off the Time Warner cable thing, and the time capsule wasn't in line anymore, and he just kept getting notifications. So go into Time Machine and just tell it not to automatically back up, and there's a switch right there.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent question. Okay, if we're ready to move on, who would like to ask our next question?
So this is Melanie.
Yes, Melanie.
So I have a question. I have a new Mac and I can update to Monterey. So what I would like to know is, are there any things related to VoiceOver in particular that I might want to be aware of if I update, or is there any reason I might want to wait? Are there bugs or anything that I might want to be aware of, particularly around VoiceOver?
Okay, to update or not to update? That's the question.
That's the question.
All right. Well, let's see. Who would like to answer? Give it a good answer to Melanie. Okay, well, I can tell you that I think that updating is always a good idea. I have found that this Mac update has been especially stable, and I don't see any problem in updating. I don't think I don't think people have reported it being too much of a resource hog either. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but you should be just fine updating.
Excellent. Okay.
Yep.
Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah, Brad.
I was going to say the update to Monterey. I came from Big Sur, and this has been the smoothest update to a new Mac OS that I can remember in quite some time.
Good. Yay.
And hopefully they won't mess it up with an update.
Yep.
I mean, Big Sur was fine when it first came out. Then they came out with an update, and for several updates after, you could not access shortcut menus for dock items, and that was a problem. They eventually fixed it, but it's like it was fine to begin with. Then something happened and it wasn't fine. So, you never know with these things. And so it's always a good idea to, beware of being an early adopter and see what other people find out. Let other people be the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. That's my philosophy exactly. This is Melanie. Thanks.
No problem. So, yep, the update is good. Or, I mean, the Monterey is good, but maybe caution with some updates and you'll be good to go.
Thank you, Mo.
Yep. Who would like to ask our next question?
If no one else, I've got another question. This is Sri.
All right, Sri, go ahead.
So I have a MacBook Pro, and I typically like to leave my lid closed because I have it connected to a docking station. But is that okay? Because I sometimes have Voiceover behaves like weird sometimes, and when I say weird, like it just stops speaking, and then I open the lid, and then it starts speaking fine. So is there a settings for when you close the lid, or is it not recommended to close the lid?
Okay, that's a good question. Who would like to answer?
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
I do not use my Mac in lid closed or what they call clamshell mode, but I know of lots of people who do. And because they use, external monitors and keyboards, and they do like you do, put their Mac in a docking station, or I've even heard of this one guy uses, I cannot remember the kind of docking. It's a docking station where you slide your Mac into it, fold it up, and you can't even open the thing when it's in it. These guys aren't necessarily voiceover users, but I'm not aware that there's any problem with using your Mac with the lid closed. I know sometimes I don't use mine with an external monitor, but I know sometimes when I have just closed the lid because I'm not going to shut it down, and I'm going to come back later. And sometimes I hear the Mac just start talking when it's been closed and sitting there untouched for quite a while. So, they do things. They're awake. They're not shut off. So, are you using an external monitor with yours? Is that why you keep the lid closed?
Well, I mean, it's connected to an external monitor, but the monitor is off also. I only turn it on if, like, Rita needs to come and take a look at the screen.
Okay. Well, this is Brad. So you've got an external monitor. I'm wondering how the Mac reacts to that, if it knows if the monitor's on or not.
This is Sri.
Yep.
So I've got it on a KVM switch, so it's typically not in that input to recognize the monitor. But I mean, it's there. I just like it closed just because I don't want to accidentally knock it. So that's why I have mine closed, just so that if I have to reach something behind it, I don't want to just knock it off.
This is Brad. So you have an external keyboard connected to it?
Yes.
Wired or Bluetooth?
It's wired to the KVM switch.
Oh, okay. So it's like it's wired, and then the computer is connected to this. What I don't know what a KBM switch is. I imagine it's like a hub. And so you just walk up to the keyboard and touch the keyboard, and the Mac wakes up.
That's right.
And how do you hear voiceover? External speakers or the Mac's internal speakers?
Typically, it's the Mac speakers.
Okay. Interesting, because I've never had mine set up that way. Well, mine certainly talks when the lid's closed, so that tells me the thing's awake. And I would imagine touching the keyboard wakes it up. I would just say it does like mine, that just, sometimes just talks. I don't know what causes it to do that. I know certainly if I turn on my AirPods or AirPod Max or even my old Bose headphones, that if they had been previously connected to the MacBook Pro and I turn them on, that's going to wake it up. It'll either talk out its own Mac speakers or talk through the Bluetooth headphones. So it's awake.
Interesting. This is Chanelle with a follow-up. I guess I don't need to announce myself, but I've always thought, when you close the lid, it's like it acts like it's going to sleep. At least mine has in the past. So is there some specific setting that you have that makes it not do that?
This is Sri.
Yeah, Sri.
So I think in the power management, there's a section for the lid closed, whether
Oh,
you wanted to hibernate or not.
Okay, because I know I've seen that in Windows, but I'll have to look. I will have to look.
Brad, I've never seen hibernate in there, but yeah, when you close the lid, it goes to sleep. But I I know that if you had a keyboard connected to it, you tap the keyboard, just like on my Mac Mini, that's going to wake it up. Um,
Oh,
but and I don't know why mine does other things. I always wonder if it isn't um, checking. If my mail app is open, it may be getting a push notification from mail or something of that nature. I usually don't use messages on my Mac, but I would think that a message notification or some other notification might make the thing wake up.
interesting. Yeah, I know there is that feature or checkbox, it can power nap, so it can, wake up periodically to um, go on the network and do whatever it has to do. So interesting. Something else to explore. All right. So, Shri, sorry, I diverted off into a question of mine, but did you get your question answered?
Think so. Thank you.
All right. Great. Who would like to ask the next question? Well, I have to say, so Brad gave an excellent review of his new M1 Mac. Well, I guess it's their newest thing, and just wondering how you're still liking it. Now, what is it? 2 weeks in?
This is Brad. We're 7 days, no, eight
Oh,
days. I got it
eight
a
days.
week
Okay.
ago, last Monday.
All
It
right.
arrived on whatever that date was, the 15th. I got it. Um, so far, so good. Um, I don't do anything that's super demanding on it. So, um, but it certainly seems very fast. I can't say that it's faster than its predecessor, which was a 2019 Intel i5 2.4 gigahertz MacBook Pro. The things that really are standing out to me, well, it certainly feels it's only slightly bigger, but
Hmm.
it feels like it's a bigger case, bigger machine. Um, I don't see well enough to tell you if the monitor really is much different. I'm sure it is. Um, it certainly seems bigger. I see this big white thing looking at me right now on Zoom. It certainly seems a little bit larger than the other one, um, even though it's 0.7 of an inch larger. The thing that really stands out to me, and this was really surprising, I never had problems with the butterfly keyboard. I wasn't crazy about it, but I never had a problem with it. I wasn't crazy about the lack of inverted T arrow keys, but I got used to the ones that were there. I wasn't crazy about them, but I got used to them. I learned to, the touch bar was never an issue for me because I never touched it. Anything that would show, there's different modes you can have it in. I can't remember what the mode was that I had it in when it was called, but basically little things would be on the touch bar that you could do when you're in a certain app. But I would explore it from time to time, like in Zoom, everything is like, go to full screen mode, start screen share, in meeting. Every one of those things can be done with a keyboard command. So I know my son has one of these. He's not a voiceover user. He loves the touch bar. And to me, it's absolutely worthless because anything you could do on the touch bar, I could do with a keyboard command, and any voiceover command that you needed F keys for could be done on the number row by using the voiceover modifier and the FN key. The thing I missed at the beginning, the physical escape key. Well, I learned that you could hold down the FN key and hit tab, and that gave you a physical escape key. So I was just fine without it. But since I've gotten this new Mac, it's like I am in love with the keyboard. It has a completely different feel to it. The shape of the keys is even slight. The other keyboard, they all had a little ridge around the edge of every key. This has a slight ridge. It's not as pronounced. But the finish, the feel of the keys is more like it was on the predecessor, the what some people call the chiclets keyboard. Um, I love having physical F keys back again, although the number row still functions like it did when you had a touchpad. You can still do VO actions on the number row with the VO modifier and the FN key. I am really loving having inverted T arrow keys back again. And the arrow keys are nice and large. And I love the empty space above the left and right because it gives me a nice reference point. Because, you know, as a voiceover user, you've constantly got your right hand on the arrow keys. So I having that again. They say the touch, the touch ID sensor is supposedly faster on here. I can't tell. I didn't have a problem with the other one. It may be a little bit faster. I do like that it's a nice little round button in the middle of the key, so you know where it is a little bit better. But that's my initial impression is that I am shocked at how much I really like this keyboard. And when I would go back to the other machine, which has now been sent back to Apple, when I would have to go back to it, I would touch it and I would go, I was just how much I didn't like it. I was like, I thought I'd accepted this keyboard, but every time I'd have to go back to it and do something for a few days, I was like, God, I love the other keyboard so much better. So I'm just really, that's the one thing that surprised me more than anything about the sound. It's definitely got different sound. It's bassier, fuller. Music sounds a little different on it. It's an impressive machine. So, I highly recommend it.
That's awesome. Oh, sounds like the keyboard alone makes it worth it. Expensive for a keyboard, but
it
you
does.
miss those conveniences definitely of the regular function keys. And yeah, my solution to that has been the external keyboard, but if I ever update to a new Mac, it'll be nice to have a good internal keyboard as well. So, does anyone have any questions for Brad or about any other topic?
Susan,
Yes,
I
Susan.
yeah, I have a different question, or should I wait?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. A long time ago when they were giving some classes at the Apple store, I was shown how I could dictate on my Mac laptop, but it's been so long I don't remember, and I use a Magic Keyboard because I have never liked the keyboard on laptops. So, and I really like my Magic Keyboard, but I cannot remember how to dictate using it for, on my laptop.
Okay. Who would like to help Susan remember the commands for dictating? Okay, well, I can just tell you briefly that you would. So typically the dictate command is pressing the FN key twice. But I don't know if you have an FN key on your.
I do.
Okay, so you can always try that. So you would press it in twice to start dictating and once to stop. And if that doesn't work, then you would want to go to System Preferences, and then there's a category called Keyboard, and Dictation is a tab in Keyboard. There's like 5 settings tabs in there, and Dictation is, I think, the last one or one of the last ones. And you would VO space on that, and you'd be able to VO right over and find which key has been set as your dictate key. And you could then change that if you wanted to or edit that. But otherwise, just give the FN key a try and go from there. Sometimes
Okay.
people also set it to the control key. That one might also work. So it's just 2 presses of the key to start dictating and 1 press to stop.
Okay, this is Susan. So I would press the FN key 2 times. Do I need to hold it?
No.
So I can take my finger off of it and start talking to dictate. And then when I'm through, just press it one time and it'll stop the dictation, correct?
Yeah, you'll want to be in something like a text message or text edit or a note or email
Right.
so it can,
Yeah.
yep, and that's all you need to do.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
So I had a question for Brad. So Brad, since you had it for about 8 days, have you noticed with the, I don't think I might have asked you this before, anything with VoiceOver, keeping up with your keyboard movement? Is it because you have the faster processor? Is it, have you noticed any lags?
This is Brad. The only thing that I have noticed that it does something that it shouldn't, something anomalous, is, what do you call it? I can't remember the name of it. When I hold down the voiceover modifier and the command key and the shift key at the same time, and I want to say change my speech rate, change my voiceover volume, change intonation. Sometimes it's not talking like it should. The other machine did much better. Sometimes it'll act funny. Sometimes it's just normal. But I've noticed when I hit it, hold down VO command shift and hit, I'm on generally what I want to do is I tend to adjust the volume of VoiceOver when I'm in a Zoom call. Like now, and so I leave it set on volume, and I will reduce my VoiceOver volume down to about 35 when I'm on a Zoom call, and I'm on Zoom calls all the time, so I'm always doing this. And then when I'm not on Zoom, I'll put it back up to 90. And I've noticed when I hold down the modifier keys and then begin down arrow, it won't speak sometimes for the first couple of presses of the down arrow. So as it goes from 90, 85, 80, it might start talking after a few steps. I might have to stop and then let it speak. I might, if I do left, right to change from volume to speech rate. Sometimes when I'm reading something, I might want to just slow it down, one notch, and I can just hear if I'm reading an article or something, I'll hear it a little bit better. Whereas when I'm just basic voiceover navigation, I've got it set a little faster because I've heard all that stuff a million times. It doesn't speak right away, and I don't know if that's just a voiceover on an M1, if it's got a bug in it. My wife has a M1 iMac. And granted, I don't use it all the time, but I have used it when I've set it up for her. And I never noticed any of this going on her machine. But that's the only thing that I've really noticed that's anything buggy going on with it.
All right. Well, it seems like VoiceOver is always a bit sluggish to respond, or the commands to change the rate and the volume and whatever are have always been a bit slow. But all right. So, does anyone else have another question?
Marvin,
Yes, Marvin.
as far as external keyboards go, if I want to purchase one for my MacBook Pro, do I have to get like one of the smart keyboards or a QWERTY keyboard? What kind of keyboard would I have to get?
All right. Who wants to help Marvin out? What kind of keyboard to get with his MacBook Pro?
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
I'm using an Apple extended Magic Keyboard. And the reason is I've tried a few keyboards and I've found, not all the time, but they're here and there, I'll find some accessibility feature didn't work. I'm sure there's some Logitech that probably works perfectly fine. But I just figured I'd stick with Apple just so that I know that every command with VoiceOver will work because it's their product. But that's just my suggestion, but I'm sure there's plenty of other keyboards that work well too.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I was looking for, I've got a wired USB Apple keyboard that's probably about 14 years old. Bought it 2006 that I use on my Mac Mini, and it's working fine. But was looking for some alternatives because just so I'd be ready in case something ever goes wrong with this keyboard. And first of all, I agree with Sri on the Apple extended Magic Keyboard. I know some people, I think Cliff is somebody who doesn't care for number pad keys like I do. I really like having an extended keyboard with a full number pad. That to me is a big deal. But I tried a Logitech, I believe it's called a K750 keyboard. I found it on Amazon, and the price was really good. I can't remember. I want to say it was about $50, maybe 45. It got here. I set it up, and it felt great. It had a good feel to it. It was Bluetooth. And I said, oh, this is, good possibility. And I may even just retire the other one and use it. But it had one problem. There is a setting in keyboard preferences to determine what you want the behavior of the F keys. By default in Apple, the behavior of the F keys is to do hardware functions. Okay, so when you get your new MacBook Pro or whatever you've got, or a laptop, if you're using, a desktop, if you're using that extended Apple keyboard, by default, the F keys are going to do hardware functions. They're going to do F8 is going to be your play pause, F7, F9 are your media forward, backwards. Your I think F1 and 2 is going to be your screen brightness, things like that. If you want to use VoiceOver, you have got VoiceOver keyboard commands. I use the F keys for anything that's a normal F key function. You got to hold the FN key down. Now on the Apple extended keyboard and on many others, that FN key is in the 6-pack area. It is the upper left corner of the 6-pack. And that's what it was on the Logitech, which means you have to hold VoiceOver modifier down with one hand. You've got to hold one hand down for that FN, and then you got to have a third hand to work the F keys. I always get around that by going into keyboard preferences, and there is a switch to reverse the behavior of the F keys. So the F keys by default will perform a standard F key function. And if you want them to be the Apple hardware functions, you then hold down the FN key. And as a VoiceOver user, I want my F keys to be F keys by default. So I just have to hold the VoiceOver modifier and then just press, F1 if I want to go to the application switcher. F1 tells you what app you're running. F1 a second time opens up the application switcher menu. Same with F2, my window, current window or window switcher. The problem with that Logitech K750 was when I went to keyboard preferences, the checkbox to switch the behavior of the F keys was not there, and there was no way to change it. And since I don't have 3 hands, that meant that I was not able to use that keyboard because there was no way I could hold down any combination of the VO modifier and the F key and the FN key and reach an F key all at the same time. I only got 2 hands, so I needed 3. So once I realized that keyboard went back in the box and went back to Amazon. So my only advice is be careful of that. And if you order a keyboard, check that out and make sure that that's going to work the way you want it to work. And I know the Apple keyboard does it just fine. So you can reverse that behavior on the Apple keyboard. But anyway, I was surprised the Logitech wouldn't do it. So that's one thing to look out for.
That is a great piece of info. Yeah, I love being able to reverse my function key behavior as well. And I love the Apple full-size keyboard. I've heard many people do like Logitech, but sounds like the 750 is the one to avoid. Does that help answer your question, Marvin? All right. Well,
Yes, thank you, Brad.
okay. And the Apple keyboards are a little bit more pricey, but I think they are worth it because, as Shrey and Brad said, it's important to be able to use all the accessibility features and the keys that we would expect. So, who would like to ask the next question?
This is Dot.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question about external drive connection. I try to connect my computer to an external drive. I'm using a MacBook Air, by the way. Nothing showed up. I don't know what's going on here. Usually it shows on desktop, right?
It should if that is checked. If the in Finder, if it's checked to show your external drives.
Hey, Chanel, you're
Yeah,
echoing, just so you know.
I know you. So are you. Somebody has. All right, we are going to. All right, so I have muted everyone. So, Dapt, I think is it you can unmute and ask your question.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
I was going to say that setting to make it appear in the make an external drive appear in your desktop is in your Finder preferences.
Yep.
If it's not in there, you can always go to I think it's called you do Command Shift C will take you to
Yes.
computer, and you should find all your drives, external, internal, should be there. You can also no, it's not in the Go menu.
Command Shift
C.
Okay. I'll try it right now. Thank you
And
very
you should
much.
find it there.
Thank you. All right. So, who would like to ask our next? I'm going to. All right. So, who would like to ask our next? Dept, I think the echo is coming from you. Let's see. Yeah, I think it was coming. We were hearing ourselves somehow through your setup. So, anyway, who would like to ask the next question? All right. Well, I think so. One thing I was trying to decide what I might want to talk about today in terms of if we had a little bit of extra time. And one thing we went over actually in Herbie's, well, not Herbie's, but the iBUG Mac Buzz last week was about the clock display. And it's interesting that you can show or affect what is shown in your menu extras. Let's see. All right.
You
I'm
have
going to
started
share
computer.
my computer audio, and it may not sound the best here, but hopefully this works. So, one thing that we talked about, like I said, was customizing the display. So we can go to menu extras by holding down our VO keys, which are control and option or caps lock. And so holding those down and typing MM.
Menu extras. Location. Menu extra.
And we can VO right
Log it.
for all
Menu
the
extra.
things that are here, or we could just do VO end, or that is VO command FN right arrow if you're using a regular internal Mac keyboard. Well, I guess on the newer M1s, the well, actually, I don't know if you have you might not have the 6-pack on those. But anyway, you would do VO Command FN right arrow
November 23rd, 20 hours, 9 minutes, and 54 seconds. Clock
to
menu
get
extra.
to the clock display. We can customize what that clock display is.
Zoom us.
So if you're using the VoiceOver and keyboard commander, which you can enable with VO Shift K, you can do things like right option T
2010.
to hear the time. Now I've customized that a little bit. It's kind of something you have to do. But if you just want to affect what's shown in your menu extras, there's a way to do that. And we'll go to System Preferences. Mine is in my dock.
Mail open 3 of 25.
And so
Actions
I can
available.
do VOD, SY,
System preferences. 7
enter.
of zoom us. System preferences. Loading sound window toolbar.
Okay, I was last in sound, so let me do Command left bracket
Back.
and VOJ
In preference panes scroll area.
and
33
VO
items.
right.
General desktop and
What we're
scroll.
looking for
Dock and menu bar
is
button.
the dock and menu bar. So I'll press VO space. Okay, come on,
Mission
go there.
control dock and menu bar.
And
Window.
then, all right,
Zoom us. System preferences.
why are you, let me see what it's doing here.
Desktop group. System preferences. Dock and menu bar window table. Dock and menu bar.
All right, so it
Selected.
took us into this table.
Dock and
And
menu bar window. Dock. Size. 43%. 40 soft dock table.
there
Dock
we
and menu
go.
bar. Selected.
All right, we just want to be able to look at the table. Normally it should put you in that table. You shouldn't have to do any of this monkeying around that I was. So if we down arrow, the key we discovered last week with this was that you don't actually want to interact in the table. You just down arrow.
Wi-Fi control center. Bluetooth menu bar and AirDrop control center. Focus menu bar and control center. Keyboard brightness control center.
So these are things you can show either in your control center or in menu extras or in both.
Screen mirroring control center. Display control center. Sound menu bar and control center.
Well, it calls the menu bar.
Now playing menu bar and accessibility shortcuts menu bar. Battery menu bar and fast user switching menu bar. Clock menu bar.
And here we have the clock. So now if I VO right.
Clock. Date options. Show the day of the week unchecked. Checkbox.
And so actually this was checked by default to show the day of the week. So if I want to show that, I could just do VO space.
Checked.
No big deal.
Show date. Checked. Checkbox.
I could uncheck the date.
Unchecked. Time options. Digital selected. Radio button 1 of 2.
And you have digital.
Analog radio button 2
And
of 2.
analog. I'm not quite sure what the difference is, but
use a 24-hour clock. Checked. Checkbox.
I left mine at digital. I happen to prefer a 24-hour clock.
Show AM/PM. Dimmed unchecked. Checkbox.
The show AM PM is irrelevant.
Flash the time separators unchecked. Checkbox.
Flash the time separators. I think that would only appeal visually.
Display the time with seconds. Checked. Checkbox.
And display the time with seconds. Sometimes I like that information. So if I just want the short time, I can do my right option T. But if for some reason I need to know the seconds, which sometimes I do, maybe right before I'm about to start an event, I can go to my menu extras and find it. So let's just say if I uncheck this.
Unchecked.
And so we have
Flash the time.
unchecked.
Display the time with seconds. Unchecked. Checkbox.
Display the time with seconds. If I do VOMM
Menu extras. Tuesday
and
20.
VON or VOFN command right arrow.
Tuesday 2013. Clock menu extra.
And it just says Tuesday 2013.
Tuesday 20.
If
Siri.
I
menu extra. Finder.
get back
Finder.
into my
Zoom meeting. System preferences.
system
Dock and menu bar.
preferences
Toolbar. Dock and table. Clock menu bar. Help
and
button. Customize on the half hour. Announce the time. Checked. Display
okay,
the time
we
with
also
seconds.
have
Unchecked. Checkbox.
announce
Checked.
the time. So
Announce the time. Checked. Checkbox.
and that is useful. It used to be under clock and its own menu and system preferences, but here you actually have to come into this dock and menu bar and into this table. And that's what was kind of throwing us off last week, but we figured it out. And it's great to be able to quickly look at the menu extras for the time if we want it to be, especially if we want it to be different than what VoiceOver might say. So there you go.
Finder.
I am
Finder.
going to
System zoom us.
stop my
Zoom us.
sharing
System dialog.
and see if anyone has any questions about this or anything else Mac related.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie.
So I don't know if this is because I'm using Boot Camp or not. I'm switching between two systems. I really need to do a shutdown here. But one thing I've noticed with the time announcements is every time I restart my computer with going from Windows and then coming back to Mac, I have to check the box for time announcements, even though it's already checked.
Oh,
So I'm just
weird.
curious, anybody of you who are not using Boot Camp and shut your computers down, assuming you do, of course. Do you guys have this issue where you still have to reset, if you have the time announcements on, where you have to reset the thing? Or, yeah, I'm just curious if anybody else has that
This
issue.
is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Are you saying, Herbie, that you have it announced the time, like on the quarter hour
Yep.
or whatever, and it doesn't? No, I don't use that, so I don't know.
Okay,
but
because
no,
yeah,
I
every
don't
time I
think
restart,
so.
I have to recheck the box because I used to never worry about that, but because since the phone stopped doing it, I became a lot more interested in the Mac doing it. So
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
So I apologize. So right now I just went through the steps and I got the empty cell. How do we get past the empty cell when you're on the table?
So I didn't interact. That was one thing. But another thing I think they did was you can go to the end of the table with option down arrow and
Okay.
then work your way back up.
Okay.
Yep.
and this is
Brad.
Herbie.
Okay, Brad and then Herbie.
Yeah, this is a voiceover bug. Don't know why, but you should be able to interact with the table and it should read everything, and it's not, and that's a bug. So it should be reported to Apple Accessibility, and the workaround that was discovered last week in another call we were all in was to just not interact and just use your arrow keys.
Which I never do anyway, most of the time.
And then, yeah, exactly. Well, and while if I can, you also asked the difference in the digital or analog. Analog is shows up instead of showing out the time in numbers. It shows a little clock with hands, and a sighted person would see that and would see a little icon that's a clock with hands that actually move and show the time. If you're a voiceover user and you have analog, VoiceOver is still going to read out the time to you. So to a VoiceOver user who can't see it, you're not going to notice the difference. Other than, I believe when you've got it set on analog, you cannot have the option to have it tell you the day and the date. And I'm not sure about seconds. It just says, 9:48 p.m. or something like that. So that's what analog does for you.
Great. Good to know. Okay. Herbie, or I think you still have
Yes.
something, Herbie? Okay.
I was going to mention if you do interact, you can still use the option down arrow method to read and get past the status the voiceover bug there. So, but otherwise, yeah, just not interact. I think I think interacting maybe helps the focus a little bit, and that's the advantage. But yeah, if you do interact, you can just use that down arrow method, and that will help with the empty cell bug.
Great.
Yeah, this is Brad. I confirm what Herbie's talking about because I've tried both interacting and not interacting. And when I interact and use VO navigation, it doesn't read a lot of them. But whether I interact or don't interact, just use up and down arrow and it seems to read them all just fine.
Great. All right. Does anyone else have a question?
I have another question. This is Shri.
Sure. Go ahead, Shri.
So on the Mac world, do you guys do Apple Care Plus or not do it?
Apple Care.
This is Brad.
Yep, Brad.
Are you saying on a Mac, do we purchase Apple Care?
Yeah, purchase Apple Care Plus.
On my MacBook Pro, I do. And the reason is the last several iterations of the MacBook Pro, beginning with the 2016 model, the first one that had a touch bar, they've had issues with them, not just keyboard issues. My son has one. He's had issues with the monitor not working. He's had to have He's had to have the cable that connects the monitor to the rest of the computer replaced because it's too short by design, and he's had it replaced more than once. He's had his keyboards replaced. Plus, these are things you're up carrying around. They can be dropped. They can be bumped. If it stayed at home, if I bought one, I might still buy one if it never left my desk at home. But because back in the day when I used to go to the office every day, even though I had a very nice Windows machine, I always carried my MacBook Air in my backpack with me every day. I carry it with me when I travel. So it moves around a lot, and the opportunity for it to get bumped and messed up is pretty good. So yes, it's worth paying for the Apple Care Plus.
This is Sri.
Yep.
So the reason I'm asking is I was looking at my home insurance policy. I can add a policy to add computers, and it was less expensive than the Apple Care Plus with, and it does service up to, I think it's like $3,000 or $4,000. I can't quite remember it, but I was just trying to figure out if that's a better way to go than Apple Care Plus or.
This is Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, go ahead.
So if our experiences with iPhones is any indication, then I would always go with Apple Care Plus. I'm going to pick on Chanelle here because we had a situation, this is a while back, where there was something wrong with her phone, and we decided to try the AT&T store rather than the Apple store because this was before. I don't know if the Highland Village was. The only one we knew about was in a mall on a second floor, which is really challenging to navigate. So that was really the last place we wanted to go to. And so we go to the AT&T store, and in the end, they ended up sending us to the Apple store because there's only so much they can do. And so to me, it's like, you may as well just go with Apple because you're dealing directly with the company. They have the replacement parts and whatnot, and anybody else is just a third party reseller, and I don't know. I mean, for the amount of money we spend on these things, I'd rather have the best deal possible, even if it costs a little bit more. That's just my thinking.
Brad.
Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with Herbie saying I feel that the one you get through your homeowner's insurance, it's fine if the computer gets damaged in a fire or stolen and you just want them to pay you off. But as far as repair, I see those third-party things as more trouble than they're worth. A lot of times you're not dealing with Apple, like Herbie said. I want to be able. The beauty of Apple Care is, I live in a big city. I got 3 Apple stores within 10 miles of my house, maybe less, and any one of them I can go into, and they'll take care of it on the spot. Am I going to call my insurance company, deal with an adjuster? How long is that going to take? I don't know. I'm not going to say that insurance is worthless, but it's worthless to me. When I can buy Apple Care, sure, it costs a little bit more, but you get what you pay for. And what I want is to be able to take it in and have the Apple people take care of it on the spot. That's worth its weight in gold.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said there. In fact, I get, with a MacBook, or generally I'm going to keep it 4 or 5 years. And so I actually get the extended extra 3-year Apple Care Plus. My iPhone, since I get a new one every year, I don't even bother with that because the basic warranty will cover me for that 1 year.
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
So on the Mac, it covers for 3 years or it covers for 2 years?
Michael.
Brad?
Mike. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, the one I get, you can get for an extra year, the 2-year one, or you can get it for an extra 2 years or 3 years, I guess, for a total of 3 years. 3 years or 4 years? I can't remember now.
I think it's 3.
Yeah. And it's saved me on a couple of different times where, just like, right there at the end of that 3-year period, hard drive crapped out on me, or just different things. I've never dropped it, but yeah, with the Plus, that covers me for those kinds of accidents. Which now I just dropped my MacBook, my old MacBook Pro. So of course it's way out of any warranty.
Yeah, this is Chanel. Those warranties are definitely helpful because even the summer before last, I had something happen to my Mac hard drive, and we don't know why, but fortunately, they just replaced it, and it was all good. So it's important. I'd say Apple Care is a really good thing to have. So. Anyway, who would like to ask our next question? We have a few minutes left.
This is Sri. I got a funny question to ask Brad.
All right.
Brad, did you open up your Apple cloth and cleaned out your brand new Mac?
This is Brad. I did open up the cloth and checked it out. I have not had to clean the new Mac yet because it's still new, but it is a very nice cloth. Probably not worth $20, but hey, it's got an Apple on it, so that right there. But no, I did open it up and check it out. So unlike you, who still has one all hermetically sealed, I couldn't resist. I wanted to check it out. And of course, the packaging it comes in is almost as unique as the cloth itself. It's Apple.
So this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So this brings up an interesting question. So, like, what are a good way? I mean, I guess just invest in an Apple cloth, but like I have a Mac here that I've never really cleaned in the last couple of years, but I'm sure it's collected a little bit of dust over the years. So what's a good way of cleaning a Mac computer? That, maybe, like if you want to try to clean out not the screen so much, but like, the area where the keyboard is and all that, is that worth trying to clean out?
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
So I have an air duster, that I got from my local computer store. This is what I used to do when I was working in the computer world. We always had our air canister with us. So I just basically, flip my laptop upside down and just use the air compressor and just air clean between the keyboard.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah, I agree with Sri. Turn it upside down and a little compressed air on the keyboard. I wouldn't use it full force pressure, but enough to get it in there between the keys. Especially these ones the last few years that had that butterfly keyboard mechanism. You want to turn them upside down and get any little debris, dust, who knows, what might be in it. Get that cleaned out. I tend to use a very, very soft cloth. Like before the Apple cloth, I would use just like a old t-shirt material and just get it a little damp. And from time to time, I'd wipe off the screen. Every now and then I touch the screen, I'd be amazed at how dirty it felt. I mean, considering that I never touch it, and how dirty it was. And so I would just use a clean cloth and just a little damp, nothing but tap water, get it as all the water, squeeze all the water out of it I can, and then just wipe the monitor, the screen down. So it's not, I know it's not gross, but other than that, I would use that same cloth and wipe down the case, wipe down the area around the keyboard, even the keys. These new ones, even when they're off, as soon as you touch a key, it'll turn the machine on. So be kind of careful as you wipe. And I would wipe down the outside of the case. Same thing, just plain damp cloth. That's all you need.
All right. It's good to know some Mac cleaning tips, definitely. Now you've got me curious, though. What is that special Apple cloth made of that makes it
This is
so?
Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie.
It is made of recycled apple cores. What do you? No, just kidding. It's made of a specialized material that Apple knows the secret formula for, and I think it's kind of like a nano cloth almost, basically. So
This is Brad.
Yeah,
You know,
Brad.
I read Apple Insider every day, and they always refer to every time a new product comes out, the people at iFixit will always tear it down and see what's on the inside of a new phone, a new Mac. Well, the iFixit people tore down the Apple cloth and did a review on what they found, and it's actually made of two layers of two different materials that are somehow bonded together. And that's really all I remember. I don't remember what they were. I mean, I bought it because $20. I couldn't resist. I just wanted to see what it was like. But I knew it'd be something that you could use to wipe down. Of course, they say not to use any moisture or anything when you use the cloth. So I don't know, you'll use it and you'll end up tossing it. $20 souvenir that you'll toss. Shree's probably a smart one. He bought one and never opened it. So
All right.
Mike,
Well,
Michael,
yeah, Michael. Go ahead.
on that cloth, what are the dimensions of the cloth?
it's about 7-8 inches square. It seems like. To be honest with
Okay.
you, I haven't taken it out and unfolded it. I pulled it out a little bit and checked it out, and but I believe it's 7 or 8 inches square.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that would make an excellent stocking stuffer for someone. Speaking of shopping and Black Friday and all this great stuff. So, anyway, we are at the end of our time. I was just a few minutes ago double checking the date because I'd forgotten, but we are having Mac and Talk on the third Tuesday in December, which is the 21st. So come then with your Mac questions and questions about how to use your Mac to get those items on your Christmas list. No, any and all Mac questions welcome. And I hope everyone has a happy, safe Thanksgiving weekend. Be sure to
Currently unmuted.
come to our events, our movie on Friday, our book club on the 9th. I forgot to give you the time, but that's 6:30 p.m. Reading The Lions of Fifth Avenue by Fiona Davis. We've always got our iBUG Buzz every Monday and our Mac Buzz on Clubhouse. So stay tuned and be well and have
Close.
a
System
great
dialog.
night, everyone.
System dialogue.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Susan
Yep.
Diamond has left the meeting.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.